to go. I've got people coming for drinks. Bye. Hi, guys. Angela and Craig, you guys are first in today. Welcome to Drinks with Kate at 6 o'clock. We've just had two crazy poodles who are as sick of lockdown as the rest of us wrestling on the sofa behind me, and they've been removed, so it's all good. I hope you've all got some lovely food ready. It's really cold today. We've had a little snap back into winter the last couple of days. It's really chilly out there, so it's a perfect night for a slightly mature, full-bodied Pinot Noir. David, evening. Hello, Kay. Oh, sausage rolls and cheddar. How delicious. Jeff, David, Michael, hello. Jack, Zach and Hannah, great to see you. Kati, lovely to see you. And Sam, great to see you too. Thanks for joining. It's very lovely to see you all. So we're nearly at the end of September, and who would have thought it? With dumplings, Isaac. Yum. Hi, Aravind. Oh, hi, Anne. Lovely to see you. I'm sorry I missed you on Tuesday. I was really quiet delivering on Tuesday. I snuck around and everyone was either out or busy on calls, I think. The only people that I sort of managed to see were Adrian and Kate, who saw me fumbling around trying to deliver their wine. And I was trying to fit it on their doorstep and my glasses fell off and I couldn't see what I was doing, and then all of a sudden a voice came from inside. I thought the door was closed. I thought they were watching. So voice said, hi, Kate, and I'm like, oh. So hopefully Kate and Adrian, you're there too. Hi. And then Jeff fell off the step the next day delivering something that we'd forgotten to. We didn't do very well with our deliveries this week, although we did because we got everything everywhere that it had to go. So I think well done, me and Jeff. We did okay. Just missed out on seeing a lot of people. Alison, hi, how are you? Jess and Callum, lovely to see you. And Matt and Renee. Oh, Renee's here, maybe not Matt yet. And Sue and Daryl, hi. Chicken and pepper pate, yum. Emily, good to see you. And Matthew, thank you. It's my little toucan that was given to me by some friends. It just brightens my day up a little bit. Paul and Melissa, lovely to see you. And Shell, oh my goodness, ginger soy garlic beef stew. Yum, that's such a good combo with mock meat. Okay. Yeah, okay, cool. I hope it's delicious. Leon and Tracy, hi. Cheese is good. Oh, Jeff, bolognese tonight. How delicious. Well, we better get some wine in our glasses, don't you think? It's fine. Oh, good. I'm glad. I think some of those mock meats are actually really good these days. Some are not so great, but some of them are really, really good. And when you've got lots of soy and capsicum and all those other flavours, delicious. Amanda, hi. Oh, Johnny Ripe's Shiraz. Yeah, they are pretty good. Actually, I will disagree with you, Amanda, because Jill, my mother, makes the best sausage rolls in the world, but Johnny Ripe's a pretty close second or third, I'd say. Yeah. The Rebel Whopper totally freaks me out as well, Shell. I think it looks too much like meat, and you just think, what on earth have they done? It's very freaky. Anyway, let's get some wine in our glasses. Very excited about tonight. We have the beautiful Garden Vineyard Pinot Noir 2015, and this wine comes from a beautiful vineyard just across the hill from us, over there. Daryl and Sue live there now. Oh, you made it, Rob and Deb. Hello, lovely to see you. But I think we also have Doug and Di watching tonight, hopefully, if their link worked. And Doug and Di started the Garden Vineyard and now live across the road as well. So it's all those things. Once you live in Moorooduc, it's quite hard to move away. And it's very hard to not come back. It's a very nice little neighbourhood, our little Darrell Road. Okay, Garden Vineyard, Pinot Noir, 2015. From a lovely vintage. Got my Pinot glass, got my wine. Not bothering with decanting because this wine will evolve really nicely in the glass, and I don't want to lose any of that evolution and those flavour developments. I can smell it already. It smells incredible. So 2015, it's a 5-year-old wine. We would have released this about 3 years ago. So some of you might still have some in your cellars if you're a fan of the Garden Vineyard Pinot. 15 was a really nice vintage, and made some Pinot Noirs particularly that had lots of flavour, lots of structure, lots of richness. And I think that this wine particularly, to my mind, needed a little bit of time to settle down. And the reason for that is not the fault of the vineyard, but more as a result of the way that we make the wine. Now, we've had a Garden Vineyard Pinot or two along the way. Anyway, it is like opening a Christmas present, Rob. Absolutely. I'm just going to have a little smell. Oh, God, it's delicious. So this wine is like all of our Garden Vineyard Pinots made using 100% whole bunch fermentation. This has, so that just means that we didn't use the destemming machine. We just put the whole bunches of grapes into the fermenter and we covered them up. And indeed, Shell was just commenting on the natural light because the sun hasn't gone down yet. I do have all the lights on as well because it'll get darker very quickly, I think. But it's a kind of brooding, cloudy, grey night out there with a little bit of pink just starting to tinge the bottoms of the clouds. So I think we might have a really nice sunset. If it's really good, I'll turn you around and let you have a look. Doug and Di are tasting too. I thought they were. Di and Doug, lovely to see you. I'm so glad you could join. Don't feel that you have to try and respond, but I know you're there, so that's ace. Michael, it is so fun, isn't it? I think that the thing about whole bunch Pinots is that often they can be a little bit lighter in colour. For us, usually they have a little bit more colour than the D-stem wines, and that's just a function of the way we make the wine and the quality of the fruit and the ratio of skin to juice and all of those things. But this wine, when it first came out, and often with the Garden Vineyard Pinot, when we first make it, we first release it, it has this really kind of strange herbal green capsicum quality, which is why I suggested that you might want to match it with a stir fry that had a bit of green capsicum in it, because or spaghetti bolognese or something with some vegetal flavours as well as some meaty flavours, because when they're very young, they do have those vegetal characters as well, which comes from the tannins and the flavours of the stalk. So Craig, whole bunch sometimes makes for a spicier Pinot, sometimes makes for a more herbal Pinot. It certainly makes it more structured. The tannins are a different shape and more intense, particularly when it's a young wine, when you use the whole bunches. But the other thing that you get, because the ferment is starting out inside the berries, so you get this phenomenon that is known of as carbonic maceration. The berries start to break down from the inside, and you get this lifted, bubblegummy, fruity spice. Polly's come to say hello. Hello, Polly. How are you? Are you going to come up and say hi? Come on, up you come. No, too shy. You can just see her tail wagging around in the background, and she thinks it's time to go home. Oh, there's the nose. She thinks it's time to go home, and I told her that we can't go home because I've got to have drinks with my friends. So it does have a beautiful spicy character, Michael. I agree, and that is the benefit of giving this wine that little bit of time in the bottle. It's still quite youthful. It's still got really lovely, bright cherry fruit. It's got some really nice, there's almost a blood orange kind of aromatic to it as well. Is Reg back there too? Oh, yes, he's just jumped up on his wall. It's perfect timing for him. He gets up on the wall. That's where he sleeps at night. So he's just had his dinner, popped up. It's all going on with with all the animals here tonight. So I'll just continue on. I know. He's hilarious, Paul. That's Reggie. So Reggie has been here for over 15 years, I think. We were trying to count the other day. Someone else will be able to probably tell me. But he is definitely part of the furniture now, and that's his roosting place at night. He always goes up there, and he's all ready for his sleeps. Penny, you're back in Victoria. Awesome. Great to see you. Get that wine open. You deserve a glass of wine. Shell, I agree. It's really earthy, but on the palate it's got that slippery, almost silky, velvety kind of texture to it, and lots of berry, great pinosity. Absolutely, Jeff, one of my favourite words in the world. The flavour profile and the fruit profile is a little bit different from our other Pinots as well, partly because of the winemaking, partly because of the bottle age. And so you're getting some of that red cherry and black cherry, but it's almost slightly dried cherries now, and also a little bit of red currant, and some almost blackberry, raspberry kind of aromas and flavours too. It's really starting to develop some savoury secondary characters too. You talked about the spice, and I think there's an almost pepperiness to the wine, almost like there's some curry leaves or something in there. It's quite exotic, but it's also. Oh, hi, Michael and Rod. Lovely to see you. Thank you for joining us. It was very nice to do it. You're the only person who came and said hello to me when I delivered on Tuesday. I was feeling very sad. I think everyone's very busy working away on work at home in Melbourne. It was a bit sad out in Melbourne on Tuesday. There were drove past lots of restaurants and pubs and things that were closed and shops that were boarded up, and I'm hoping that we'll be able to reverse all of that fairly soon. Anyway, let's get back to the wine. Happy thoughts with the wine. What was I saying? Oh, yes, secondary characters. Fabulous with beef burritos. I think would be absolutely delicious. And that little bit of spice, the beefy meatiness. I really like the fact that there's a tiny bit of truffly mushroominess coming out in this wine as well. And that's what I mean by the secondary characters. Oh, Jeff, have you got a new puppy? You have to send me a photograph of the puppy, because we love it when the dogs join in, and that would be awesome. So send me a photo. That'd be ace. Kate@moorooducestate.com.au is my email address if you didn't have it. You'll notice as well we've got some beautiful irises in the background, a lovely gift for Jill and Richard to celebrate Daryl and Sue having been at the Garden Vineyard for 10 years on Wednesday, sometime this week anyway. So I've got a little scavenger come to steal my bottle of wine. There you go, Richard. Richard wants to join in the tasting. So congratulations, Sue and Daryl, for 10 years here at the Garden Vineyard. And also to, Kate, can't join. Oh, well, anyway, it would have been lovely to have caught up for a chat. At least you didn't see me throwing myself around on your step. Enjoy the tasting later on. So, yes, this vineyard, I think I've spoken to you about it before, but I'm going to talk to you about it again because it is absolutely gorgeous. Doug and Di Johnson bought this property back in the early mid 90s, something like that. Di is English and Doug is Australian, and Doug wanted a vineyard and Di wanted a beautiful English style garden. So they compromised and decided to have both. And so they built this incredible garden, which has got, it's a formal garden. It's got different sections to it. It's got rooms. It's got hedges. It's got statues. There's a vegetable garden. There's all sorts of things all through this garden. The garden is amazing. You can walk through and spend the whole day looking at it. It's just beautiful. And so Doug and I built this garden, and there were some vines planted already on the property that had been there, I think, since the early 90s and maybe the late 80s. But they planted some more vines and along the way at some stage, and I can't quite remember the timeline because I was very young back then, Dad got involved. Richard got involved and was making wine for Doug and Di from their fruit. And around about that time, as the garden was completed and was beautifully planted out with all of Di's favourite plants from home, we started an 8-year drought in Australia. And this is a huge garden. It's a garden that really doesn't have the option of putting irrigation in because it would cost a fortune and you'd never be able to be able to keep the water up to it anyway. So with everything that Di tried, the garden really struggled and a lot of the plants died during the drought. But instead of giving up, she went back to school and learnt about drought-tolerant plants and drought-tolerant gardens, and she replanted the entire garden with drought-tolerant plants mostly from Australia and South Africa, I believe. But it is a magnificent garden as a result. It's a unique garden, and it's a garden that Monty Don came to, one of two gardens that Monty Don came to when he was making his TV show, 40 Gardens Around the World. I can't remember what it was called. It was something about around the world in 40 days, but gardens. Around the world in 40 gardens, maybe. Anyway, he came to visit this garden, and so it's quite a famous garden. Doug and I decided that it was maybe getting a little too much work, and decided to put the property on the market. And Sue and Daryl bought it 10 years ago and moved down from Melbourne. Doug and Di, luckily for us, moved away for a little while, missed Daryl Road, so they now live in the property that's actually between Moorooduc and the Garden Vineyard. So thank you, Katie, Around the World in 80 Gardens. I knew it was something like that. So now you've got Moorooduc. Across the road are Doug and Di. Hi, Doug and Di. And if you're driving past, you'll know them because they've got this fabulous new letterbox that I'm trying to speak to the artist about getting one for myself. It's incredibly gorgeous and very whimsical. So Doug and Di are there, and on the other side of their property, down the hill and up the hill again, is the Garden Vineyard. So two of our favourite neighbours, beautiful fruit, and I've been ignoring the chat. I'm sorry about that. Thank you, Penny. I think congratulations, Sue and Daryl. That's awesome. Rob and Deb, it is a stunning, stunning garden. And Michael and Nikki Cross, welcome. It's so lovely to see you. I'm glad you've worked out how to chat, and you've got your wine and you're on the chat. So it's lovely to welcome you to Drinks with Kate officially. It is Alison, a park. It's really beautiful. Sue and Daryl live there now, and they look after the garden, and the garden continues to thrive and is gorgeous. When we're allowed to, when we're not in lockdown, we walk over there with the dogs, and it's a wonderful walk. It's gorgeous walking through the garden, and if we're very lucky, Daryl and Sue offer us a glass of wine before we have to walk home again. It's really special. It's a garden that is not often open to the public anymore, but again, when we're allowed out of lockdown, I'm hoping to organise an event with Sue and Daryl where we can have some wine club and some wine tasting people join us for a glass of Garden Vineyard Pinot Noir and maybe some Garden Vineyard Pinot Gris as well in the Garden Vineyard. So until then, I think we've got a lovely wine to enjoy. How's it going with your food? Because this is a wine that, particularly when it's young, really needs food. I think right now it's just softened out. It's looking really delicious just as it is, and I'm really happy about that. As it opens, there's more of that cherry fruit coming up. The herbal notes are receding a little bit, but that spicy, there's almost a Campari-like character that goes with that blood orange, which I think is a real signifier for whole bunch, and I see that very much in this wine. It's a wine that, as a young wine, is sometimes hard to sell because it is quite tight and quite structured. And too much chili oil on the beef stir fry shell. Sorry to hear that. Have a glass of water and you'll be right. Veggie tatin, how delicious. I think the chili would fight a bit too much with the wine, but have some water. Maybe if you've got some rice, just have a little bit of plain rice with the wine and just let it kind of let it settle a bit. It's not really a chili wine because of all of that tannin, and so the tannin and the chili are gonna fight with it. But if you've got something sort of meaty, fatty, vegetably, slow cooked, And if you're not having meat or substitute meat, then, as I said in my email on Monday, I think some tofu that's been soaked in good soy sauce and a bit of sesame oil and some ginger and some garlic can work really, really well. It can cope with those sort of flavours. It's really, really lovely. It's almost like maple. Ah, yeah. Yeah. Berry fruits are really coming out, and I think that the sausage rolls, Jeff's right, it's the fat content that you find in a bolognese, as well as those kind of slow cooked flavours or sausage rolls. You can kind of have it. It's got that sweet fruitedness, but that sort of slightly savoury, salty character that sort of replaces your tomato sauce with your sausage rolls. So you don't need tomato sauce when you've got a wine like this. Drinking with Macca's, Kate. Thank you. Beef and burgundy pie with mash and peas would be delicious. Claire, that maple character is a really nice descriptor. It's got that sort of like maple wood. Very, very interesting. Savoury lamb meatloaf with sage. Oh, Michael, yum. Now you're all making me hungry. What did Aravan say? Oh, Manchego. Not so much with Gruyere. Oh, well. Okay, I'm going to have it out with you guys and Gruyere now, because I know that Jeff loves his Gruyere, and I think that sometimes Gruyere can work with Pinot, but you've got to try next time we have an aged Chardonnay, which I don't think we've got an aged Chardonnay coming up in this box, so I might have to slip one into the next box. You've got to have aged Chardonnay and really good Gruyere, and they are just a match made in heaven. So really delicious. Truffle pecorino, Jeff, that is outrageous, outrageously good, outrageous in all ways. Who's texting me? Everyone's texting me. Oh, funny. Oh, yeah, okay. Nothing that I need to reply to there at the moment. As this wine evolves in the glass, though, it's just going to give you more and more pleasure. So I hope that you've got a nice big Pinot glass and a nice big glug of the wine, and you're ready to settle back for the evening with a couple of glasses of Pinot. Whatever delicious food you're eating, I think is going to be terrific. We've got a little fire on here again, but you can't see it. Hang on. I'll lift the computer up so you can see yes, aged Chardonnay and Gruyere. Can you see? Oh, there we go. There's the fire. It's all crackling away nicely. There's Polly. She's gone to sleep now. Reggie's gone to sleep up on his wall. The sunset was nothing. Yes, Jeff, late to the party with the truffle pecorino. So what else? What other stories was I going to tell you guys today? Well, I think that I was going to talk about Richard's gumboots. I think I've done this before. But one of the things about the whole bunch ferment is that you've got to release the juice somehow, because when you destem grapes, you put them through the destemmer, it pulls the grapes off the stalks get thrown away, and then you've got a little hole in the berry so that the juice can get out and the yeast can get in and fermentation can start. So just kind of letting it sit and then giving it a stir with the racking machine. What am I talking about? It's a contraption that's a big long pole with a round disc on the end with holes in it, and you use that to stir up the wine, because with a normal destemmed red wine fermentation, one of the byproducts of fermentation, as you all know, is carbon dioxide, and that gas, those bubbles of gas, push all the skins up to the surface of the wine, and it forms a thick cap on top. And so by using this why can't I think of the name of I think my brain is just dying on me. Anyway, using this stirrer, you mix the skins back into the juice, and that gives you the opportunity to extract more flavour, more tannin, and more colour. It's not a paddle mat, but that's a good word. Thank you. We'll use that for the moment until I can remember the actual word. If Jeremy was here tonight, he'd be able to tell me, but I think he's otherwise occupied. Anyway, doesn't matter. Technical word for winemaking word. We don't need to worry about those on a Thursday night at 6:25. It's not we do plunging. It's not plunge is not the word I was thinking of, Michael and Nikki, but absolutely, I know exactly what you mean. That'll do, a plunger. But it's not like one of those plungers that you use to unblock the drain. Different again. Anyway, with whole bunch ferments, you can't use one of those because the whole mass of grapes and stalks is too solid to just be able to stir it. So and a lot of those grapes in the fermenter are going to be whole and still stuck on the bunches. So there's no hole in them. There's no way for the juice to get out or for the yeast to get in. So we have to break them down, and we break them down by walking around on top of them. So Richard has a pair of knee-high gumboots that are kept specifically for this use, and they're not used for anything else, so they're nice and clean. They get a good wash before he goes in, and Richard is the only person who's allowed to walk on the ferment. He's very, very protective of that, and because he loves it. And walking around on top once a day just crushes the fruit gently, releases the juice and the sugars, and then a normal fermentation can take place rather than just the carbonic maceration fermentation inside the berries. And then you also get contact of the juice to the stalks, which pulls out more tannin. So it's a really old-fashioned tradition. Hi, Jeremy. What's the name of the plunging tool thing that we plunge the cap with? It's not a paddle or a plunger. You can let me know what the word is. I'm just it's been a big week. So yes, walking around a thingamajigger. Thank you, Kay. That's it. That's exactly what it is, a thingamajigger. So walking around on top of the cap breaks down the grapes slowly, releases the sugar. Pigeage is what we're doing, but it's not the actual tool that we use to do pigeage. Pigeage is just the French word for plunging, in fact, Michael and Rod. So there you go. We're all learning things and new words today. Richard does not get overcome by the carbon dioxide, Michael, because there's not a huge amount of carbon dioxide being produced in the early stages, and also because it's an open top fermenter and we keep it near the front of the winery. It's a really good point, actually. We keep it towards the front of the winery so we can have good flow of air, but we also tend to make sure that when anyone is doing the plunging or the pigeage of the regular fermenters, and when Richard's walking on top of the whole bunch ferments, we try and make sure that there's a couple of people in the winery so that if anyone does get into trouble, then we can run in and help them as quickly as possible. Oh, David, been pruning your olive trees, 250 olive trees, so some oil in a couple of years. That will be awesome. Very nice. So whole bunch ferment. We also press it off before it finishes totally converting the sugar to alcohol, because it's very hard with the stalks in there and the way we use our feet to break them down. It's very hard to get all of the sugar into the system and all of that fermented. So we'll press it off. There'll be a little bit of sugar left. The primary ferment finishes in tank, and then it goes to barrel like everything else, and everything goes punch down, Craig. Absolutely. That's the same as pigeage and the same as plunging. Still can't remember the name of the tool. And I'm feeling like a bit of a tool now as well, because I've got stuck on a silly word, and it'll come back to me at probably 2 o'clock in the morning. I'll email you all then about the name of the thing. Now, Craig, I was actually thinking about you the other night, because I know that you keep asking me to talk about the Halliday scores, and I keep forgetting to, because I get excited about the wines, and we're already 30 minutes into tonight, and I haven't talked about the Halliday scores. Again, Michael and Nikki, the gumboots are not sterilised, but they're very clean, and they are very nicely washed, very clean. And alcohol is really good at sterilising things as well. So it's all good. It's all good. They're good. They're a good tool for what they're used for, and they're very much kept for that one job. So holiday scores we will talk about maybe next week. But I will say, and I'm going to put some up. And the other thing that I've been meaning to do is just pop some of them into the mail outs that I've been sending out to you guys. But we get to every week, and there's more stuff to tell you. And what I will say about the holiday scores, if for those of you who have a subscription to the website or have bought the book, Ned Goodwin was the person who reviewed our wines for this year. He's a fellow master of wine. He and I studied together, and I have a huge amount of respect for his palate. I think he didn't enjoy our Shiraz as much as I'd hoped that he would, but it is quite a quirky Shiraz. And I think also his scoring system, and it's the problem with the holiday book these days, that there's a number of different reviewers who are involved. And up until the next book, they've just made an announcement that they've actually allocated different regions to different wine writers, whereas in the past they just kind of randomized it and said, okay, this year you're sending your samples to Ned. The previous year we sent our samples to James. The year before we maybe sent them to Jane Faulkner. And it's hard to get continuity across the different years of scores. So while maybe we got very good points, and I'll talk about the point scoring a little bit more next week, because I've been doing some. It's a plunger. Thanks, Jeremy. Sorry, everyone. It's a plunger. You were right, Michael and Nikki. I need another sip of wine. I think I need a holiday, to be perfectly honest. But that said, it's lovely being here. This is like a little holiday every Thursday night talking to you guys. So I'm doing a little bit of analysis of the scores, and you'll be pleased to know I am a tool. Thank you, Shell. You'll be pleased to know that we have been very consistent with our scores in the Halliday book for many, many years. We're not only a 5 red stars, which means that Halliday thinks that we've made good wine for a long time. But if you look at the scores, there's not a lot of fluctuation between sort of 94 to 97 across almost all of our wines. So very cool. We will talk about Halliday and wine scoring and wine writing a little bit more next week, because there's some actually some really nice reviews out there. You might have noticed one of my posts that Sarah Ahmed wrote a lovely profile of Richard in Decanter Premium, which is also a subscription-based website. So if you don't have a subscription, don't worry. I have actually attached the, yes, thank you, everybody. Ha, 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 ha. Laugh it up, guys. It's nice to know that we're all human, isn't it? It's nice to know that we can stuff up sometimes. But I don't think that we've stuffed up with it. We all need let's all go on holiday together, Alison. When everything opens up, we'll all go to the beach and drink wine and have a lovely time. I think that maybe it might be a little bit of a crazy holiday with all of you guys. 50 of you tonight. Hello, 50 of you. That's very exciting. What was I going to say? London is opening its borders to Victoria. Thank you, Craig. Thanks, Francesca. I need a little bit of positive affirmation after all of that. Wine tour. Yes, a wine tour would be great. Would be really good. Yes, excellent. So what I was going to say next week, Stephen Spurrier quite likes our wines. He has tasted our wines and has written very succinct tasting notes on them. But he has actually recommended us as one of his preferred Mornington Peninsula producers and one of his preferred Australian Pinot and Chardonnay producers. So that's quite fun. The other person who's written some nice notes recently is Nick Stock, in the James Suckling website. So he writes for James Suckling, which is an American website. So we'll have a talk about all of that next week. Also next week's going to be very busy because next week we're tasting 2 wines. You asked for it, but glamping at Moorooduc Estate. Amanda, you terrify me. Oh my God, what have I done? Yeah. Up and down the rows. I'm sure there would be no problem with that at all. Jeremy and Richard can make the coffee for us in the morning. What do you reckon, Jez? So next week we're tasting 2 wines. You have got in your tasting box. Concentrate, everyone, because this is very, very complicated. Enough thinking about holidays. At the moment, we're still locked down. We're still here. Next week, we are going to be doing the Devil Ben Creek Chardonnay 2019, and we're going to be comparing it to the Moorooduc Estate half bottle of 2019 Chardonnay. Now, this is going to be a really cool comparison because they're from the... Yes, Craig, you can sit up on the wall with Reggie. That would be... it looks a bit cold out there tonight. So yes, 2 Chardonnays. So the half bottle, which is easy to find, and the Devil Ben Creek Chardonnay bottle. You'll need 2 glasses. You'll need to have the 2 wines at the same temperature. So I would say pop them in the fridge on Thursday morning and pull them out maybe half an hour before the tasting if you can. And just let them come up a little bit to room temperature. You'll get the most out of them then. I will talk to you on the email about food matches for next week as well. But we're going to do a compare and contrast. We're going to talk about the joys of half bottles. If you're worried about opening both bottles at once, it's okay because you can drink the half bottle and you can drink half the bottle of the Devil Ben Creek Chardonnay and then pour the other half of the bottle of Devil Ben Creek Chardonnay into the half bottle, put the lid on, stick it in the fridge. It'll be fine for a week or till tomorrow, depending on how thirsty you are the next day. So I'm not encouraging you, well, you can drink all of it if you want to, but I'm not forcing you to drink more wine than you want to next week. It can still be just a bottle or it can be a bottle and a half, but we'll talk more about that. I know, Kate, it's easy to say, harder to do sometimes. But in the meantime, so get your Chardonnays ready for next week. Hopefully it'll be a lovely sunny day out there and it'll be wonderful Chardonnay weather. If not, we'll make the most of it. We'll get the fire lit again. I'll meet you back here again next Thursday. It will be a delight. It's been awesome talking to you guys and being laughed at by you. It's been a week of being laughed at. I know that Kate and Adrian had a good laugh at me and at Jeff as we managed to fall up and down their stairs this week. We'll see you on the email, guys, and thanks again for joining. Thank you, Deb. I like this jumper. It's nice and cozy. It's been awesome to see you. Take care. Cheers. Bye.